That acrobatic fish. The fish came 3 feet out the water. Whew. This is what we're doing today, guys. Had a couple of things happen this week. Number one, Hurricane Ida devastated most of our coast. We spared the worst of it. Thank goodness, and I really feel bad for the people that took that thing on the chin. Now our fishery over here is pretty funky out in the lake. We had about a 7 or 8 foot storm surge. Had a call from a good friend, Chris of mine, started catching some fish back in the residential canals. So I went and checked my light and saw trout all over the light the other night. You know, when we get these hurricanes, it just brings in these trout like this. It's still hot, still warm. It's a little cool this morning. Got a little windbreaker on, but this storm really pushed the fish into, you know, way back in places they typically aren't really this time of year. The water this is the best water I've seen around here, as we had so much rainfall. The whole Pontchartrain area is pretty funky. But yeah, the other night we were just went out there, tied on our new little matrix shrimp, because that's what was jumping out the water, was little bitty, like 70, 80 count shrimp. Tied that on, was catching trout one after the other. I mean, just had a really good time. It showed me that here they come, they're coming in, got pushed in with the storm, come back to these dead end pockets, some little shorelines. Now, usually this has got a lot of good aquatic vegetation on these shorelines here, but that storm killed a lot of that grass, and I'm throwing that lure real tight to the bank and just bouncing it off the drop-offs. Let's see if we can get a few more. Yes, there he is. That fish looked like it hit me deep, but I was getting bites the whole way in. He started nibbling on it and chasing it up close to the bank, and I finally hooked him under the boat. Let's get a measurement on him. I think he's gonna be short. He's close. 11 and a half. Let this little turkey go. But yeah, I'm throwing the tiger bait right now. This little pocket I'm in is a little stained. I really like the tiger bait in stained water. We're gonna find some clean sections back here too. These neighborhood canals usually stay gin clear, but that storm was just ferocious. The big surge, it dropped 10 to 15 inches of rain. 10 to 15 inches of rain in our estuary. So it's gonna take a minute for everything to stabilize. A lot of the rivers are back up high, and they naturally have to dump out into the lake. Ran around the lake the other day. Tried the south end of the trestle just to see. Caught a redfish down there, but for the most part the lake was terrible as far as the quality of water went. Another nice fish. I think this one will make the team. Got a nice little pile of fish right there in this corner. Oh, get him on a stick. Yep, he's good. Not by much. All right, that's what we're using right here, the Tiger Bait Matrix in the 3-inch size. The Mega's the 4-inch. So that that's a couple fish there, tore up that Tiger Bait. We're gonna put a new one on. I'm just gonna show you how to thread it. Some people get a little confused with this, but the hook's gonna come out the flat part. This is the belly, the pointed part on the bottom. I like to thread it a little bit higher than dead in the middle, a little bit closer to the top. Going about a 1/2 to 3/4 inch. It's gonna pop out. That hook's gonna pop right out the flat part, just like that. And the reason I like to go higher is if you tear it up, you still got some meat down on the bottom part of the head, and you can reinsert the hook, get a few more fish out of it. Typical for September too. Oh, you know what? It's close. But September, this is a type of this size trout we usually are attacking here the last 5 or 10 years. Which is funny because back when I was growing up, we caught some monsters back in September. You know, the 3rd biggest trout in the history of Louisiana came from this estuary in September. 11 1/4 pounder. But this is what we catch nowadays in September. Lots of school trout, perfect eating size. He actually just makes it. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the, well, we're gonna fry some of these things up. You know, we had to evacuate for the storm. Hadn't had seafood in a while. All right, what we're using here is a new item that we're gonna be carrying at matrixshad.com, made by Fitzgerald Fishing. It's the BLD 10. It's really low profile. You know, we've been using Corados our whole life, which are good little reels. Been having some problems with them breaking a lot lately, which, you know, all reels break, but they're real expensive. This is a little bit cheaper price point, low profile, just like we like. And the most important thing, it comes in an 8-to-1 gear ratio. That way when you hit a fish, you can speed up on him and catch up on your slack in case the fish is running at you, or after you jig the lure, one little turn, revolution on the reel, it'll pick up that slack, get you ready for the next series at pop. They cast real nice, just a really nice product here. Come on in here, buddy. Come on in here, buddy. That's what makes that 8-to-1 important. You know, catching these little fish ain't real serious, but you saw that way that fish shook its head. He came immediately to the top, shook his head, was tail walking in. When it's a big one, you want to keep pressure on that fish. And if you got a slow gear ratio, you might not be able to catch up and pick up with the slack when that fish is running at you or coming up, throwing slack at you by shaking his head. When you got that fast gear ratio like these Fitzgeralds do here, you can really keep up with it. The 8-to-1. It's a keeper. Put him in the box. So nice to see the trout back. So about the only thing that hurricane did good. I got it on the 3/8 right now. I probably 5/16 would probably be more effective. A lot of these bites are coming pretty shallow. I'm used to fishing these shorelines in here, having to pay attention to where the grass edge is at, but that storm ate that grass up. I'm not catching any grass. But anyway, I'm throwing it up there tight, about 3 foot of water, and I'm just bouncing it off the bottom. Again, that 8-to-1 ratio, that's the key. Just one little turn, and I pick that slack up. And what is happening, you're going from 3, pop, 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 it goes down to 6. Pop, 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 next thing you know, it's 9, 12, and the further you come off, the longer you gotta wait for it to come off that slope and hit the bottom. As you saw in some of our last episodes, what we were doing was sight fishing the reds, and that was really starting to prime out. The grass was growing really, really nicely. I was kind of excited for that. And September, October could be great months for sight fishing red. And then, boom, here comes the hurricane. And what we were doing, we even were using, again, that matrix shrimp that we were talking about for night fishing. We were even using that to sight fish a few reds. The ponds are crystal clear, but when Ida came, that saltwater intrusion, what it does is it kills all that freshwater aquatic vegetation. And that's the magical ingredient for sight fishing reds. It's having saltwater around, but you want that freshwater grass growing. And when you get those 6, 7, 8 foot storm surges and 50, 100 mile an hour winds, it just destroys it. So that's out probably for the rest of the year as far as seeing the reds real good. But what the big storm surge does, it'll push the trout up into easy to get to places. But whoa, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We might change some areas and make another episode today, but we just wanted to get the point across that Hurricane Ida has come and gone. It left devastation across a lot of South Louisiana, but even those areas that really got hit, when them guys can get to fish again, it's going to be epic. That's what happens when hurricanes come. It destroys your land and houses, but it does something incredible to the water and the fishery. We were pretty far away from the eye here, and it's already pushing our trout up into residential canals like this here. Make sure to subscribe to our Matrix Bait Box. We're going to be giving out a discount coupon code for this reel to all subscribers. We're going to be also giving out some tiger bait matrix, so you can come out here and get on some trout like this. And we may be giving out some more of our little matrix shrimp, which is what was working when we were catching the trout on the lights 2 nights ago, after the hurricane brought in some white shrimp and some small school trout fishing nighttime. Great little nighttime bait, and it's good for a lot of other things. So hope you enjoyed this episode of DockSide TV, guys. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come get in on the fishing as soon as you get your house back in order. And until next time, good fishing.